Sang, people.
Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. Yes, I am here today.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Yeah,
Surprise!
Giving you a day off you didn't even ask for, man.
Hey, man, those are those termination notices. Man. That's how you find out the radio. My buddy was here last week, and he came up to the station, and he had texted me, and I thought it was where he was, and he said, "I'm knocking on the door, man, and nobody answering." And so when finally I said, "Man, I'm on 20th and Capitol." He'd go to the old WMCS.
Oh, the one on Capitol?
Yeah, and I'm going like, dude, because his buddy used to work there,
Yeah.
Mike Bird. And he's like, dude, ain't nobody here. Right. Ain't nobody been there for years. Dude. Did you hear the Elvis music playing when you pulled?
Can you see the parking lot?
Yeah, parking lot. I guess some people store their cars over there, but
No, they use the old garage as a mechanic shop.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Through that alleyway, right?
Yeah, somebody rented that space out.
Wow.
All right. So anyway, good morning, Milwaukee. Good morning. Brown deer. For my tens of listeners out there this morning, good morning. Someone came up. I am not a celebrity.
Yes, you are.
And I'm not a role model. Your parents should be your role model. But someone came up at church yesterday, and they said they listened to the program, and they said, "Oh man, they was going at it, man." I said, it's really amazing because I can tell you when people are listening, like when we have like conflict, and we be going back and forth, and so. I guess I'm not a type of guy though who likes to argue and
Really?
Boy.
I am so into peace. Can't we all just get along? I mean, I at one point though I did think about being a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah, I thought about being a lawyer. But being a lawyer is more than argument. Being a lawyer is the research to go into to put together your brief and all the legal precedents and laws that might apply to your argument.
So wait. So can you still be a lawyer and still be saved? Because don't you got to lie?
Welcome to the program. Hold
on, man. This is the question. Like I can't, picture keep being.
Well, you left us hanging last week with a question that you never answered. You recall that question?
No, because last week is gone. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus.
And
That's all I'm asking
so
of
you
you.
want me to start lying about lying?
Hey, I didn't know, man.
Anybody ever other than our Lord and Savior who has not told at least one lie in their life?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
who you know? You say yeah, you do.
You know somebody never told a lie?
Yeah.
Who?
My dog.
Who?
My dog never told a lie.
You don't know.
That's not a somebody.
So what is it?
It's a dog.
It ain't somebody.
It's a dude, man. A dude.
Oh, okay.
What was that question, by the way, Keith?
Hey man, come on, man. We ain't talking about
church
that.
member. Well, how did you put it? What was the question?
Hey, listen. Keith,
do you recall
when you got to preach
was?
again, man?
So I don't know, man.
You're going to preach again,
I'm
man.
I know it's going to be on live.
Well, what was the question? Because I may be prepared to answer that question myself.
It's going to be on live.
It's going to be on
Since
live.
Jermaine won't
answer it,
I'll answer it. What was the question again? I'll answer it.
You said...
It wasn't me. Keith asked the question.
Well, Keith said, can you smoke weed and still listen
listen to gospel music?
Yeah.
I never got an answer on that.
Yes or no? No. Seriously.
This dude.
I want to give a whole...
I'm going to start calling you Phil. That's short for filibuster. Well, you see, no. Yes or no.
Back in the day.
No,
he started out with a what?
Well, let me
see anybody go all the way around.
Yeah.
All the way around the block to get back. Just stay in the yard, man. Stay in the yard.
Well, in my opinion,
wait a minute.
The question is not,
you want me to answer?
Is you or can you?
Well, I think,
should you or can you?
I think
should. I don't know.
I don't know
Pretty
should,
strong.
but I know, man, that
Can you?
it can happen. I've seen it.
It happens every day.
Every day you mean it can happen.
It can
It
happen.
sound like there's probably 1 or 2 dudes. Come on, man.
But what I saw in the midst of people smoking weed, I saw we was all sitting around the table. We was listening to rap music in the CD changer while we were indulging in the devil's lettuce. And I never forget, we were sitting around and John P. Key's song came on, the CD disc changer, and the song was Wash Me over again.
You just can't have
No, listen. I'm not lying.
Ain't that the name of your church, man?
Wash me over and over and over again in the blood of the Lamb.
He ain't had no fun. Every time he trying to have some fun,
The Lord
dude,
speak.
you a jinx, man. Don't, I ain't hanging out with you, man.
Listen. Hey, so right then and there, when that song came on, I'll never forget. One of my partners, man, he just screamed out, "Lord, forgive us. We are sorry."
I really
for what we
was
did."
high.
Oh yeah, we was high as a fool.
Forgive us for what?
Because I mean, you know, he just yelled out, you know, "God forgive us," and he started crying, and that, you know, shut the party down.
Party's over.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to indulge anymore after that.
Back in the day, Andre Crouch caught a drug case. He got pulled over possession for cocaine. He had to go into rehab. I'm just curious because, you know, there's always been the question.
It was alleged that James was a user too.
Yeah, and I want to differentiate between, if I can, because some people, dope is dope, but I like to differentiate between weed and maybe some of the other things that people are doing, because the question's always been, does the drug help your creativity? You know, there was that whole question about how good was Coltrane after he stopped using. You know, and a lot of those guys, I mean, you know, so it you know, just talking about it just from a physiological, what you do is obviously you smoke weed, your senses are a little bit more heightened, so you're hearing things that
may open up your creativity, you know.
But is it a drug? Because I've never
that's why I'm saying I'm
anybody
differentiating.
ODing.
Well, it's a drug on the federal level.
It's
you know, they just changed it. I think they just changed it from Schedule 1. It's no longer Schedule 1. But they had that.
I mean,
with
but they
cocaine
knew that, though.
and heroin and barbiturates and meth. I mean, we talking. That's dope.
Yeah,
you know, where people, but and obviously,
but if it's grown, then isn't it an herb?
It's a herb. It comes
but
from
cocaine
the ground.
starts off as a natural
as a
substance.
poppy seed,
as a poppy, and then, you know, heroin also with coca in the cocoa,
in the cocoa leaf.
Yeah, and then in the Andes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the people in Ecuador and places, Peru, who are living in higher elevations, they will suck on that leaf.
Yeah,
you know, for whatever. So I don't know if that answered your question, Debo. I think it's really up, you know, Bishop Yvette Plunder, when she was thinking about answering her call to, I was just watching her do Thank You, Lord last night. Oh man, they rocked that song.
Yeah.
And she talked about when she said, I got my Bible, I had a glass of wine, and I had a joint. Now, some people say you should be sober-minded. I would agree with that. You know, you make decisions. This is why I run into problems sometimes when I'm at funerals and I don't do invitation, because I think people are at an emotional state. Now, that's a departure from many of my clergy brothers and sisters who will make that appeal. I just think that when people are in an emotional, you don't want someone to make a decision as it relates to their soul based on emotions.
Why not?
Not based on emotions, because once that emotion subsides, then that conversion subsides. I remember talking to the chaplain at Dodge. He had Dodge Waupun, and he was saying, and he was a Muslim brother. And he said that, oh yeah, there's a whole lot of jailhouse conversions. A whole lot of brothers, you know, they find Allah, they find Jehovah, and as soon as they get out, you know. So I mean, I understand people do what they need to do to get through what they need to get through, but I just think that if you're talking about this thing where The story behind the prodigal son is, and I love that line when he had just hit bottom and he said, when I came to myself.
Oh yeah.
When he came to himself, when you get to that moment of realization,
Yeah.
and sometimes that you are stone cold sober. I mean, it just hits you, all those things. And then what drives us a lot of times in terms of our behavior and what we use in order to cope, in the world that we live in. Because look, man, I can tell you, some days it can be rough, man, and how people get through what they need to get through. But no, I however people get creativity. I said this, and this is anecdotal. This is not empirical. I don't know if anyone's done any research, but when you look at the number of queer church musicians who wrote a whole lot of great music based on their pain from being bullied. Yeah. I mean, it is, we focus so much on what somebody else is doing, and then we make our judgments based on that. And I think that I would suggest to people, and certainly suggest to myself strongly, that we be careful in our judgments, because there's some things that went into that decision making that we had no clue. Everybody, you so absolute until you're faced with that moment, and when you have to make that decision. And so I think that a lot of times we just need to kind of back up and fall back. And I know we feel better. I wouldn't have did that. You don't know what you would have done because you weren't in that situation. Find yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
Tell me what you did.
So you know what, Keith? I wanted to ask you, man. By you being a member of the cloth.
Just ask me.
I had to lay it out. By you being a member of the cloth.
Man, my cloth is getting more tattered every day I come up in here. My cloth is tattered.
No, but seriously, why do the church frown up at sin when that's the purpose of the church, is for the sinner man to come to the church?
I guess my question is, overall, why is there such a focus on sin? I said to folks, well, I hate to do the review, but I might as well. Yesterday's Sunday school lesson was this idea David needed to repent, and he built this altar, and he went to the guy, and the guy was going to give him to him free. David said, no, I'm going to pay for whatever it is, this idea. I operate from the premise, let's try to avoid the behavior that requires repentance. What does that mean? That consequences are a forethought, not an afterthought.
Yeah.
Because we spend so much time prostrate. Oh, let me shout out the good folks there at the New Pitts Mortuary. Brother Nate Luckett, Deacon Michael Jones. Good morning, gentlemen. You almost got past me. Thank God. Look at Eagle Eye.
Yeah. Eye on the sparrow.
Jermaine.
No, seriously. But I liked what you were saying, Keith, man. I picked that back up, man. I liked what you were saying.
Well, no, I'm just saying, and that becomes, my thing.
Yeah.
But I hear people, and then everybody has their own category of what they think sin is. I wish that there was this universal, but it changes. And so I think we have to be I had the my two Kojic clergy brothers laugh, and I said, because they grew up, I said, man, when I grew up, I was a Baptist. We wasn't saved. That's what they told us. We wasn't saved.
Who told y'all that?
People.
Kojic.
Yeah.
Well, Elder Wallace used to say it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
So
wasn't
them
saved.
folks ain't saved.
And don't be Catholic. Lord Jesus, don't
you
be
going to hell with gasoline
man,
draws.
Don't be Catholic.
In fact, Elder Wallace's favorite line was, they're going to bust hell wide open.
Wait, I thought his favorite line was, yeah. But that ain't it, huh?
That was Popeye.
See that he was old enough to be there when hell was created.
Hey,
Watch yourself.
Watch yourself now.
Now he was old when I was young.
Hey, I swear he was
old when I was young.
Man, he was old when I was like 12. I remember that cat, man, been off of Olive, man. We used to go by their house.
Yeah.
No, I just think that, if we just spent more time on ourselves, but we feel better. When I see Jermaine struggling, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'd be like, yeah, better him than me. I mean, you don't say it out loud, but that's how you feeling. Like
somebody got to let it tell.
Right. Like it could have been me, but it wasn't.
Thank you, Lord.
Jermaine's favorite line. Let me. I'll tell it.
Hey, man, somebody got to let it tell.
But I love this. I love that Luther Vandross. I say it's my favorite Luther Vandross album, entitled Luther Vandross, and on that album it says, "Hearts get broken all the time." He said the problem is this time the heart that's broken is mine. Man, that was so cold, dude. I was like, yeah, real talk, cuz man, I'm sorry to hear that until it's me.
And I've and I've broken a lot of hearts. And then when I got mine,
now you being braggadocious.
No, listen, man. Hold on, man. I was just saying, look, hold on, listen. I've broken a lot, but when I got mine broken, boy, it was like the end of the world.
You get run over by that bus.
Oh man, the sky is falling. Man. Remember that commercial? The sky is falling.
Man.
Oh yeah.
That's how it was
you
for
get hit
me.
by that bus, it's just like you gonna eat now.
Right, I didn't want to. Well, leave me alone. I'm in the dark.
Hey man, let's go to the club.
Nah,
man, I'll go. And then the DJ look out, they go,
I got one. And then he play that song.
Play every song.
Right.
Each moment with you.
You sitting at the bar, crying, drinking.
Leave the bottle.
Leave the bottle. Right.
Western, just leave the bottle.
Just leave my tab open, Doc.
Man, it'd be like,
Let's talk about loneliness.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can think you're on top of the world. No one can top you or stop you. Then you ask yourself over and over, why? Dun, dun, dun. What happened to the love we said?
The whole conversation. You listen to the album like
Richard Dipperfield have a song that ain't one thing is another.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh dude, how do you go from Bet You By Golly Wow to I want to go to the day before I met you? You know,
he regret.
Don't, because I tell people, love is a drug.
Yeah.
Man, the sky is bluer.
Yeah,
on a
sun
cloudy
is
day.
brighter.
You still see the blue sky.
Yeah.
And once you get your heart broke, same person,
Yeah.
same person.
By
You know,
yourself
man,
on
it'd
the
be
freeway
like,
driving.
Oh man,
Like,
you know, and that's really it, because you know the song I play. You found that's out this year. Every year on April the 8th, I play Whatever You Imagine by James Ingram. Right?
Yeah, that was your anniversary song.
Yeah,
right?
that's the anniversary song. But wait a minute, Debo. There's another song by James Ingram. Just Once.
Can we find a way to finally make it right? Make the magic more than
More
just
than
one night.
Oh man. Oh man. So anyway, thank you, man. Almost got on the couch.
Yeah, we were close. I had a
Almost
toe
got
on there.
on the couch, man.
Happiness Donut said Keith is cracking up.
Man, no, man, because it hurts.
right. You gotta keep from crying.
You keep from crying, man. It'd just be like, oh man. And then the people, you know, that moment, because when you first fall in love, you just so vulnerable. You just so open.
Man, please.
You know, you just
Keith, you remember when you would stay on the phone all night? No, you hang up.
No,
You hang up first.
No, you hang.
No, I ain't
Hey,
hang
look,
up.
I'm from the era where we actually wrote letters.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there waiting by the mailbox.
I didn't do that, man. I'm so glad there's been so much incriminating evidence out there.
I had a girlfriend, the one that really, and man,
Hey, man,
She
your
used
wife
to-
listening?
she used to
Correct.
correct.
Back in the day, people. Come
Yes,
on,
before
man.
I even met my wife. She
Okay,
used to correct
okay,
my
go
letters.
ahead. Don't listen to me.
Why would we?
Yeah, because we tried to stay married.
Yeah.
I am too.
Why would
That's
he
why I'm
listen?
telling you to Hirsch.
I'm down here before Judge Ashley, Debo.
Right.
But no, you know, she would correct it, man. I'm with red ink. It
She would
looked like
correct
she
your
took
letter?
a razor. Yeah, she collected grammar in the
I'd
letter
have been done with her.
then send it back with the new letter she wrote, and she would send it back.
I would have been
I
done
don't
with
know,
her.
man. She's a keeper.
No, not the first time she corrected my letter.
Well, I mean, that ought to
But you
tell
know
you.
what? I wish I wouldn't have been so, and because obviously I was writing very poorly,
Yeah.
and the fact that now I don't think she did it because she cared that much. I think she did it just to hurt my feelings, but that's okay. That's how
And
life
That's
is.
the part I was trying to say. She
Right?
didn't-
You know, but
she didn't care that she was.
yeah, just
you know,
let me know I'm not as smart as I like to think I am. But no, man, you can you know that I look I.
Yeah.
I'm having a James Brown moment.
Being selective.
I was watching. I was telling you. I know we gotta go to break. I was watching. I go from YouTube and go in, and so I was just watching the. I think that was the original recording of "Thank You, Lord." They did this concert out in Oakland, and they're in like formal. But to hear Yvette Plunder when she began to improvise, and it got so good to her.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was just like watching that. Now, you know, in the religious circles, they call that anointing.
Yeah.
But her ability to be able to pull that in, man, and she had it on. Oh my God. And I don't know if people realize, I've heard them in person. how good the Hawkins were.
Yeah, the whole family.
The whole, I mean, when
yeah.
you heard their sound,
Yeah.
that sound, and everything is family.
Yeah.
That helps with voices.
Yeah.
You know, so when you have your family there, but that performance, if you ever get a chance to go on YouTube, thank you, Lord. And then you keep going, James Moore.
Yeah.
Oh,
comes up,
please.
baby. He finishes that thing.
Man,
Hey,
that
but
dude,
do you know? Hey, but do you know, man, that the church really didn't like the Hawkins family?
I understand that. I
they had
understand that.
they appeared to bring a lot of baggage.
Like,
Walter with
man,
his
they did
perm
not
and,
like them, man.
you know,
They
no,
called
the
them
perm
worldly,
and all of that
types
Oh
stuff.
yeah, after Old Happy Day, the church,
Yeah,
kind
man, they
of, which is
ostracized
crazy now because now that is considered that rendition is considered a standard.
Wow.
We go back to Precious Lord with Thomas Dorsey.
Oh yeah.
Mainstream Baptist churches, we didn't want that's too bluesy.
Y'all didn't even want drums.
Now it's part of.
Y'all didn't even want drums in the Baptist church, man. That was a whole crazy thing.
Don't even remind me. Man.
Jesus, like, boy, y'all all that drum, but that's the devil's music. What? It's drums.
All right, you're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice, and we're just waiting on our guests to call in. Debo did receive a text message.
You wasn't supposed to tell that.
Did he have a spare room? I told you, man, you could be kicked out the crib.
Man,
so
you wasn't supposed to repeat that.
Listen to Debo. Right.
No, I told you stop. I tried to cut you off at the
pass.
pass. Man, this was before I met Rhonda. Woo. Stop, Keith.
It was way before I met her. I told you when I met her, I was damaged.
You know what I hate though is that we
love on the rocks
because it's three men in here. We never really get like that hurt woman's. I guess that scorned woman, if is the word I'll use. Perspective of how they respond when their girlfriends call, girl, I don't want to do nothing. Do they go through the same things we do?
I'm sure they do. A broken heart is a broken heart, man. It has no gender. It has no sexuality. If you get run over by that bus, and a lot of us been run over by that bus, man, the
wheels on the bus do go round and round.
Round and round. Back up and run over you again.
But is it true that women, I guess, and again, I'll use that same word, scorn. They usually go into like a retaliation type mode when they're hurt.
Too, though. That when you think about stalking, a lot of times, women stalk, but men stalk too. I think anytime a person is, I think one of the toughest things in life is rejection. Mm-hmm. To be rejected for whatever. And sometimes the rejection is probably for your own good, but it don't feel like that when you're being rejected, and we feel like, and sometimes it's not even in love relationships. It can be professionally, where you feel, you have been rejected. And then how do you pull yourself together and move on? Because everybody's seen it.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's seen it. So it's not like
so a part of you is shame also. You're shame, embarrassed.
Right. What did I do wrong? I can't stand her. I can't stand him. But that's the thing about, passionate relationships, man. They have their ups and downs. And I guess that's why it has precipitated so many different love songs. And love songs ain't just when I met you. Love songs a lot of times is when we cannot play Robert Kilmer.
You asked when a woman's fed up. I give you the theme music for it, Debo.
Compliment what she's done. Send her roses.
But that's James Ingram, man.
Just because. Yeah, I'm trying to change the vibe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that woman scorned is something else, man.
And dude's scoring too. It's not, man. Like I said, anybody, you find yourself in the bushes.
In the bushes, peeping, stalking.
In the bushes, right? Just happen to be in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You like 100 miles from here. How you just happen to be in the neighborhood? Yeah, I just happen to be driving by. I mean, it's tough because as quiet as it's kept, our egos are rather fragile, and it doesn't take much to throw us off our square. Everybody talk about being sensitive, but I think we all have some areas, and then don't let it be the very thing that your worst fear that just happens. So
what is your best friend?
No, it's a thin line, Debo.
No, I'm just saying.
Speaking of that, Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick.
Oh, unbelievable, man.
What is she, like 19, 20?
24, and dude like 89,
73, 74.
Nice. If I'm dreaming, just let me sleep then.
Yeah. No,
don't wake me.
You just
Bap said, "Oh my God, never in the bushes, Keith."
Why we I'm just saying you gotta get as close to the crib as you can.
I'm trying to tell you.
Now the question is, was Keith in the bushes?
Was I in the bushes?
Yeah, that somebody wants to know, were you in the bushes?
So
let's welcome our guest in.
Boy, he gonna have a long evening tonight, boy.
Oh man, I know, man. God, dude, I just want to go home. Anyway, yeah, Bill Belichick. How about that, man? Well, I guess
Yeah.
there's hope.
I guess. Is there some talk of marriage between the two?
I don't know. They said that his daughter has an issue with the relationship.
Of course.
And most people do, you know, when it's your parents, you know. I mean, but yeah, and she got him, you know.
Yeah.
And Bill Belichick is a very interesting guy because you know, if everybody knows him, very controlling. You know, never changes his emotions. But that's what happens. A friend, my former boss, Mr. Milton Lewis, back in the day, he said this, and I don't want you to focus on the word to understand what he was saying. He said that a man is never satisfied until he is sexually overwhelmed by a woman. It could be whoever it is. His point was not the sex act, but that whole persona
of her wanting him.
Yeah, that everything that goes into it. You know, sex is a small part of it. We make it the biggest part of it, but it really is. It's all those other things, those emotional buttons that people can push. You know, that whole idea of just falling in love. So,
right.
Yep. Oh man, look at the songs they're gonna be doing. Oh man, fit the Beethoven. Okay. Ooh. Good morning. We're joined on the line by Mr. Byron Stripling. Good morning.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man, and welcome. You know, you just assumed the position as conductor of the Pops for Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra.
Yep, absolutely.
Hey, man. Well, welcome, man. You have a very extensive background in terms of, you were a trumpeter, right?
Yes, I play trumpet and conduct, and I sing, and I do anything else to provide money for my family.
I like that kind of talk.
You play to eat, right? They gotta eat. That's interesting because Quincy Jones was a trumpeter, right?
That's right. How did you know that?
Oh man, I keep up with that stuff. Plus, I got the book. But I think that's real interesting in terms of being a trumpeter. Now, is that different? Now, I'm gonna use, because you know you part of Let's Groove Tonight. Is that different than a percussionist like Maurice White, or is it all out of the same thing when you're looking at putting together and arranging and creating music?
It's good to know those genres of you know, different styles of music, and I think if you think about like Earth, Wind and Fire and those people, they took all this music and they put it all together. Church music, you know, any great black music. They use all these influences, and then they come up with this magical thing. And I think that's what gives music its power. All those things coming together, and so yeah, that's kind of what we do in that case.
And so you're here. There's going to be a series of concerts entitled "Let's Groove Tonight," Motown and the Philly sound. Motown, Philly, back again.
You better go ahead and start singing.
No, because I'm looking at the playlist. This is incredible, man. I mean, you start off with "The Sound of Philadelphia" by Kenneth Campbell and Leon A. Huff. You know, one of the interesting things about it. Now, I don't know who did the music for it. It was the music for Soul Train. I can't remember the song, and I think that Don Cornelius said the biggest regret he had was he did not buy that song.
Yeah, you have to be on top of this stuff. It's like almost like investing in the stock market in a way. Like you're trying to find a hit, you know.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes you hit it and sometimes you don't, you know.
So what was the genesis, the inspiration behind putting together this particular concert?
So I work with a lot of different people to develop concerts together with them, and one of the main people I do that with is a guy named Jeff Tyzik. If you want to hear one of his great arrangements, he did a thing for the Spinners. It'll come to me, but he's just a great. He did a great version of "God Rest You Merry Gentlemen." Was it the Spinners or one of those groups? Anyway, I work with him again. His name is Jeff Tyzik, and we put together this whole show of all this music. I wish I had the playlist you have in front of me because I just woke up.
Okay.
But you can prompt me on any of the tunes. We've got some. It's a wide variety of tunes from that. Again, Philadelphia sound, they had their own sound, and then Motown had their own sound too. And that's what was percolating during that period of time of that growth. And what it caused people to do was the music really brought people together, especially Black people. That was their music, and again, it had those influences of gospel and soul, and even anything we did that was like rock and all that kind of stuff. So it's why it's very important music to people.
Well, I'm just looking at it. I always start off with it's a great song, and then I want to know who wrote that song. A lot of times because you just and then it's performances. Obviously, we use as our music. We use Valdez in the Country, which was written by Donny Hathaway, right? And there's like 22 different versions of that song. And I guess as a musician, if people want to record that song, that kind of shows how great a song that is, right?
Yes, right. People fall in love with the song and they want to do a little bit something different with it. But that's always, your music is good when people are attracted to it in that way.
Let's Groove.
Let's Groove tonight.
Yeah, by Maurice White and Wayne Lee Vaughn. I did not know that Norman Whitfield wrote I Heard It Through the Grapevine.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. And that's one of my favorites too. That's when I go back to my childhood with that. Or I think like I was like in junior high school or something like that. I'm old, I'm so old. I played trumpet at the Last Supper. That's how old I am.
Okay, okay.
Oh God.
And after dinner is served, we will have, you can just go over to Jazz Lounge and we have Mr. Byron Stribling. He'll be playing. I see I'll Be Around by Tom Bell, but I'm a big Linda Creed fan. Linda Creed wrote great songs. And I know she collaborated with Tom Bell, I'll Be Around, Backstabbers. And I didn't realize that McFadden and Whitehead were songwriters.
See, you know more composers than I. I have a slight thing because I look at, because the way I pick songs is I just have them in my head from listening to them. And I go, we got to do that one. And then, you also have to get permission to do them from people. You can't just take somebody's song and, so I get permission. But I go from what hits my heart immediately. And I should, to your point, be finding out who exactly all these artists are. Because you can name them off the top of your head,
Oh man, I just, I'm old too, because we back from the albums days where you just read that cover to cover, the liner, who played on this particular song, oh man, that's my guy. He was playing bass, So if you really get into, and I really do, not a trained musician, but I love it. But there's some people on here though, like I said, obviously Gamble and Huff. When you think about Strong and Norman Whitfield. Here's a great song that was updated. It was written by this guy, Ludwig van Beethoven, a fifth of Beethoven. That was a groove, man. That was, man. Yeah. Walter Murphy and the Big Apple Band.
I like that. I like that fifth of Beethoven because I actually introduce it to people like we're going to play the real, Beethoven's fifth song, and they get confused by that. But it's really, we just put the rock and roll beat to Beethoven, So it's cool.
And I'm thinking Linda Epstein is Linda Creed. People Make the World Go Round.
Oh yeah, that's a great song.
Oh man, that's a good one. And I think our guy recorded that. I have to go and pull it up to see if a local guy, Fred White. I think he just recorded that. Okay, now here's a song. Now again, talk about how old I am. I must have been in middle school when this song came out. Me and Mrs. Jones.
Oh my God, we got our thing going on.
Man, that was so crazy. And I'm singing about that song. I had no clue what I was singing about. I just loved that song. Then I became an adult. I'll give you another song. I didn't know what they were singing about, Reasons. And then I go like, oh, that's what they're singing about. But I'm sorry, go on.
I'm similar to you. I listened to both of those songs, especially Me and Mrs. Jones. I was like, oh, this guy's got a friend named Mrs. Jones, and they hang out together.
A very special friend, by the way, with benefits.
Friends with benefits. I love that.
Yes. And then, of course, you give tribute to, I think, people who kind of, because it was disco, but certainly wrote a lot of great music. I'm Coming Out by Bernard Edwards and Niles Rodgers of Chic. Yeah. That was Diana Ross.
But I can't believe, I can't. You always mention the composer first, which is the right thing to do because the music wouldn't exist without the composer.
Right.
I go right to the artist, and I just admire you for having that knowledge. You know, your brain is probably much fitter than mine.
No, I'm also. They've also given me some great prep time too. So they sent me some great prep notes to be able to go through. Rock the Boat.
Don't rock the boat,
Hughes
baby.
Corporation. Oh yeah.
Don't tip it over either, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's one of those summertime, cookout songs that you roll. Yeah. And then Love Train by Gamble and Huff, recorded by the OJs.
Yeah.
And then I think this is my Black national anthem, Ain't No Stopping Us Now by
absolutely.
Absolutely. But it's kind of an aside. This year though, maybe with everything going on, I paid special attention to Lift Every Voice and Sing. Before it was like a drudgery, man, we got to go through 3 verses of this. But when I read the lyrics and the poignancy of those lyrics and how even now it's still a timely song, I put it back up there. But Ain't No Stopping Us Now, man. That one is.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, if I can just insert, I think that all of these songs, especially for the Black community, are like anthems.
Right.
And we use them to sustain us during hard times. And the music actually lifts us all up. So to your point, Ain't No Stopping Us Now. We're on the move. It's like that's what we need for the time that we're in now. Music is for that. And Love Train is equally important.
Oh, yeah.
Because we all need to be on that love train together because we are more, as Maya Angelou would say, we are more alike than we are unalike. So let's just get on that love train and together move forward. This is why I play music, is because the messages are so strong. And in this time that we're in right now, more than anything, we need music to lift us up, or as they used to say in church, pick us up, turn us around, and have our feet land on solid ground.
Solid ground. All right, watch it, preacher.
Yes, Lord.
Question. Now, this will be done with the symphony orchestra, correct?
So you're going to have like 50 to 60 people on that stage, along with bass, piano, and drums that can kick behind. And we're going to have 3 amazing singers that will set your world on fire. And these brothers can sing their tails off. Yeah.
So, and I want to ask this question, and I've noticed this when you see certain performances, all of these musicians are, and we use the term classically trained, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do they? It seems like when they get a chance to do music like this, you just see a different energy level, right?
Sure, absolutely, yes, yeah. And again, these are people who have grown up in church and stuff like that. They've got that foundation, which is usually the foundation of a large majority of Black music. They've got that foundation, and then the people that I work with, they've been on Broadway doing these things. One of the guys has been on Broadway during the show about the Temptations, I think, or Motown show. Yeah, the Motown show. Mm-hmm. That's Chester Gregory, that guy. He's kind of the lead singer in this group. So, like, these cats are the best and the top in their genre. They do it like nobody else can. And whenever I've done this show, people just freak out and go crazy, Yeah.
Well, and I think that venue that you all are in grew up here. That venue was this incredible. Back in the day, they had these ornate venues like the theaters, and so we used to watch movies there. As a matter of fact, I saw the 10 Commandments there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, see how old I am. But be able to do it. So, as part of it, you just mentioned you'll be conducting. Chester Gregory is doing vocals. Sharice Coaches is vocal. Brick Liam vocals. Tim Lappin bass. And then Douglas Mariner on the drums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. The first time I ever heard them live, I was 10 years old. And
no way.
Oh, yeah, man. I fell in love with symphonic music after that, man. If I watch a movie, I'm looking like who scored it, what they did, how they, because I just saw a tribute to John Williams.
Oh, wow.
Because you did Boston Pops, right?
Yeah, I did a bunch of things with John Williams back in the day. Yeah, he conducted, I played the Boston Pops a bunch, and he was always the conductor. Yeah.
What's that like, man?
I was scared. I had to wear my diapers, man. You know, because John Williams is a legend to me. You know,
I mean, you just in some of the, and it's ironic because yesterday was May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Just so folks kind of know that little thing with Star Wars and going back to Superman and E.T. And they showed this clip of him where they're showing the film and he's doing that scene when the kid is on the bike. And they showed how he put the music to that particular scene. So, man.
Yeah, I was so scared, but John Williams is one of the nicest people I've ever met. Just a beautiful human being, and he loves jazz. He started out as a jazz piano player. Not many people know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a good man.
Yeah. Mr. Byron Stribling, let's groove tonight. Motown and the Philly Sound. This is going to be at the Allen Bradley Hall down at the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra building there on the corner of 2nd and Wisconsin. Yeah, I think I got that right. Yep. And again, the concerts will be Friday, May 23rd at 7:30, Saturday, May 24th at 7:30, and then Sunday, May 25th at 2:30. I'm definitely getting down to hear this, man, because first of all this great music.
Yep.
And then, man,
I just hope I can get to say hello to you if you have a second. Just come backstage and holler at me.
I will. I'll drop my press pass, see if they let me back. I sure will. But no, man, this is going to be good. When I saw the advertisement for it, I said, this looks like this is going to be a great concert, great show. And so, man, appreciate that. I'd love to be able to meet you in person. Again, welcome to the city.
Oh, thank you so much.
Man, thank you again, Mr. Byron Stribling. He is the Pops conductor from Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. Let's groove tonight. Motown and the Philly Sound. That'll be Friday, May 23rd at 7:30, Saturday, May 24th at 7:30, and Sunday, May 25th at 2:30. Appreciate you, man.
Can't wait to see you.
Thank you for getting up so early, man. Appreciate that
absolutely. Too. Absolutely. Thank you for everything.
All right, man. Peace.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be good, man. You gonna go check it out?
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, yeah.
I guess we'll start like this.
Yeah, right. in the hater position.
We're in the hater position and be like 3 minutes into it. It's just like I told the story. I know we got to go to break. I told the story to my buddies. I had caught a cold. I wouldn't feel it. My buddies come by the house and they say, "Hey, man, Luther's in town." Luther's down at the arena. That's when he was doing that in the round. I said, "Man, I want to go down." I said, "Man, it's gonna be all kind of women." All right, man. Well, I'm gonna go down there. Now they talked about Luther so bad on the way down. I lived on Marshall, so from Marshall to when we got down to the arena and park, they talked about this dude so bad. Oh man, Luther get on the stage. Luther do that first. I thought these Negroes gonna throw their drawers on the stage. They felt like Luther. I said, no, not you two.
Right, you fell out.
No, they fell out because Luther, man. If you've ever had a chance to hear him. Let me do one other thing real quick. I had a chance to hear Dionne Warwick perform with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. One of the greatest concerts. We were out at the zoo under a tent. One of the greatest concerts I've ever been to. Ever. I love symphonic music, man. I really do. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. And yes, our local guy, Fred White, did just recently record "People Make the World Go Round." I thought he had did that. Yeah, man.
We played it.
This one of the great voices ever, all time, ever,
Hold up, Jermaine.
ever.
Fred White, People Make the World Go Round. It's in the main system.
Yeah. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, sir. Good morning. Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Parris, and assalamu alaikum to you, brothers.
Yep.
Yes, sir. The premise or reason why I called primarily is this, is because when I did state that, and I said the word liar, and when I should not have been personally specific to you, but my attempt is to speak universally or generally. When it comes to scriptural text, and as I am taught, that when you mix truth with falsehood, it's very basic. Anytime in any capacity or any walk in your life, if you distort the truth of what it is that you are attempting to communicate with or convey to anyone at any time, at any moment, when you introduce falsehood to your supposed truth, it nullifies it. That makes you a liar. So that word is applicable in any circumstance and under any situation. That is the way that it is. And when it comes to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, under the perfect direction of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and how these teachings are expressed. When it comes to God, Allah, we are taught that God is a human being, not in the capacity that you may not even be able to fathom. But you're in love with Satan, and you would make excuses to diminish the reality that Allah, God, is the supreme being. And if you are a material being yourself, the immaterial has no bearing on you, and no one there that I do understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, has a scientific background. And in science, when it comes to science, the immaterial, as the scripture teaches, has no bearing on the material. Anything that you talk about that cannot be factually or evidentially or evidence provided or substantiated with literal, tangible evidence, it is only theoretical. It is just as a rumor, a supposition, a presumption, and an assumption. When you all talk about God, Allah, God, as you understand God, as being a spirit, and myself understanding science to the degree that I understand it, and how the scientific method is applied in all aspects of life, and understanding organic chemistry is the study of carbon, and knowing that carbon is the basis of most material things. That's how a lot of dating is done, to determine how long something has actually existed or does exist. Carbon is the primary thing to look for the most part, other than water, which is hydrogen and oxygen combined. So all I'm saying is this: if you are of the presumption that God, Allah, is not literal as yourself, then I most definitely would say to you that you are a fool, absolutely, unequivocally, and irrevocably, irrefutably, and indisputably. You do not have the sense of a Betsy bug, as the old people would tell us when we were children. Thank you so much.
Let me, I don't know if people, the problem a lot of times, anytime, and I'm going to use just text in general, is that if it is not explicit, then it's open for interpretation. I don't think people are adding lies. I think it's, for the business, it's called exegesis, where you try to go in the pull and extract the truth and the meaning out of that particular text. Some things are pretty explicit. Love your neighbor. We don't have to do any kind of interpretation of that. That one is clear. Love God. We don't have to do any interpretation for that. It gets into some other things where it gets into behavior things or a belief. Now it turns into a whole lot. I think the other piece of it is that any science should be able to withstand, or any knowledge should be able to withstand scrutiny. And there are people who, when you talk about a belief and you talk about knowledge, they're two different things. Belief is one thing. Knowledge is more tangible, more material. You know it. So again, I give the example. 1 + 1 is 2, right? That's knowledge. I don't believe that it's, now, belief might go into whether I accept it, but that doesn't change the fact that 1 + 1 is still 2. So I think that when you have those discussions, a lot of times people go in and that's part of it. People have been debating spiritual texts since there've been spiritual texts. So, I mean, I go back and forth. Some things, as they say in the Bear, is non-negotiables. Other things are open to interpretation. Things are then, we talk about the pitfalls of translation, how it's imprecise when let's take, if you're using the Bible, going from Aramaic to English and all the different steps along the way, you can have a change, or English word might not be the same as the Aramaic word or the Hebrew word or the Greek word or the Latin word. And so it really does depend. And then Protestants, are more, when it comes to talking about those people in the business of preaching, will be more apt to look at the Greek. If you're from Catholic or Episcopalians, more chances are you're going to look at the Latin. So it becomes fraught. So those people who are scholars are people who spend an enormous amount of time. Now, sometimes what we discover is our knowledge might be different than our belief. We found out some things where we were taught to believe this, only to find out that then knowledge and fact says, maybe not. That's okay. The other thing is, when we say God is a spirit, I'm not just talking about a spirit as we think about it. I think for lack of, because I don't think that there's been any adequate word in any language that has been able to fit God. I just think that God is just too vast for us to even try to find human words to go in and to characterize God. So it's bigger than that. When we talk about what Jesus was making the argument, when he was talking about that, we worship God, we worship him in spirit and in truth, is that it's a different thing than your material. It's a level, I don't want to use the word sincerity. There's a level of authenticity that one should have when you're doing that. So he said, it doesn't matter where you worship. He said, the importance is how you worship. And so that's why I am ecumenical. People have their worship style, but the question is it worship and is it giving glory to God? I think that is, and we get into our different, because, and now this gets in problems with people being very parochial about their religion. To think that God can only use one religion is man. Because I just think that there are a whole lot of things that are paths to God. That's just me. Now, again, I know that for Christians, they believe that they're the right religion. Okay. You got the right. We'll find out on Judgment Day, I guess. Carla, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Let me turn this video down. Well, the problem with people's remixing faith in what they consider as fact, and talking about what's tangible. What's tangible is if you're an old 50-some-year-old man and you father kids by teenage girls and then kick them out of your organization, you are not perfect. So when you talk about perfect teaching, that goes, in my opinion, to where, you know how they talk about those who can do, which maybe would be Malcolm and Minister Farrakhan, taking that organization to a higher level, and those who can't teach or preach many times. And that, you know, the people he was talking about, in my opinion, are really good examples of that. Because a very imperfect person, this individual is saying his teaching is perfect. So if that's your philosophy that you choose to utilize to call people liars and fools, then maybe you the fool yourself, like Malcolm, Denzel stated in the movie, how he felt like a fool because he was kind. Because I think it's very, you know, you're real cool about it, Keith, I have to say, to call people a liar and say they're in love with the devil actually is non-factual unless you're inside that person's body and literally reading their emotions. You're stating a non-fact. So
I think the other piece of it is that certainly the estrangement between Malcolm and the Nation of Islam is that these are human organizations filled with human beings and all those things that go along with it. I wish everybody was down, you know, we down with the cause, but then as human beings, you know, if I'm ambitious and organizations attract ambitious people, and then there's jealousy. So there's all these things. So the question becomes, how do we practically apply the religion that we subscribe to our lives to be better people? And then is the community better because we're better people? I think that if I focus in on that, but again, it's what we were saying earlier, it's easy for me to be down on Jermaine, you know, as if I don't have struggles. That's why there's a need for religion for some folks. Now, some folks feel like they don't need religion. Okay, I got that. You know, and then we go back and forth. And I think that how you read a thing, a lot of times comes from our own biases and our own cultural lens in terms of how we look at things, right? So I agree with you that it's the great danger. But what I find is, that universal that me and Minister Farrakhan agrees on, right? And then everything else just becomes, but there's some universal things. And we talk about justice, you know, for many of us, that's universal. And that the struggle, or if we look at the struggle of descendants of enslaved Africans in America, or descendants of Africans anywhere in the world, we realize that there is a universal struggle out there we have in terms of discrimination and racism, right? And all these things that happen. So we can find common ground, but sometimes our ego won't even allow us. Our ego won't even allow us to find the common ground, right? And
so if Allah doesn't make you a better person, as Rock said about his son, the character Sharif, and it frustrates you to the point where you're angry on a daily and alienating yourself, you can really spread Allah's teaching in the perfect way that you thought your teacher, who was very imperfect, did.
Right. I think the other thing is be the embodiment of those teachings. Wasn't it Gandhi who said you need to be the change that you want to see, that we need to embody those things? And it's a lot easier. And you know, it's like I get frustrated a lot of times. We bring some young people in and we got some older dudes, and the older dudes, they just want to preach at the kids.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't, and as if, you know, there's no real empathy for, you know, at one point you were there. You were 15, struggling at 15, and all the things that go through with being 15, that goes through with being 20. And now because you've gotten to a certain point in your life where you can go back, like, and so then we become condemning to young folks, which is a turnoff. So now we have this natural tension because nothing what you say matters to a 20-year-old, right? Because you just old, man, because he just, like when I was 20, I thought we invented everything. I didn't know stuff was here before we got here. You know, I mean, it was the time. It was the time. I won't even tell the story. Anyway, what I found out is my mother used to always say, and it's taken from Solomon, there's nothing new under the sun.
And done nothing change with clothes, and they come back in style.
And they come back in style. Now, some of you brothers, though, some of the stuff you talk about, it ain't back yet.
Yeah.
It ain't came back yet.
Yeah, them stacks with the fish tank. I don't think they coming.
Wait a minute. Let's just go 70s. Those Zanza belts.
No, they ain't coming back. No, hey. And the super high
some
heel
of you,
stacks,
glad
they
they're
ain't
not
coming back
coming
neither.
Yeah, those hot boys, you can't get them up anymore.
The cutoff shirts that the brothers was wearing on Soul Train, them neither.
Oh man, tank top at this age, it ain't happening, man. It ain't happening. I said for the sisters, you need 2 halters now.
Yeah.
Back, I
Two
mean,
altars.
hey man, just acknowledge age, man. Now I'm not saying that you shouldn't be fashionable. It's interesting because one of the things I wanted to talk about today is the Met Gala is happening tonight, and their emphasis this year is on Black style, talking about dandyism and how for us, style, swag is important for Black folks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I can't speak for other groups. I just know that, when we put together, as goes back to Juneteenth, they put on our Sunday finest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't tell a dude he ain't clean.
Man, sharp as a tack.
Sharp as a tack, sharp as a razor, man. What they call it? Casket clean?
Hey, if you touch that crease, it's so sharp,
you gonna
might
bleed, man. I mean, you can't, man. And so I'm trying to figure out how do you stay relevant, in terms of fashion. But some of this stuff I be seeing some dudes, boy, woo. And Debo can tell you, man, that Blues Fest.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. Bright, lot of bright colors.
A whole lot of outfits was out there.
Lot of bright colors.
Stop it, Jermaine.
Easter Bash.
A whole lot of colors.
Full-length minks.
Oh man,
Squirrel coats and armadillo shoes, all type of stuff.
Exotics, right?
Right.
You got a whole exotic thing going on. All those endangered species you wearing.
Y'all get up off my peoples now.
Yeah.
Hey, they're my people too. And guess what? I done did it.
Yeah, me too.
I done showed up like, dude. Oh man.
Yeah. I
Have
had
you
a
ever-
snakeskin suit.
Have you ever reflected back and said, I probably knew I shouldn't, kind of like Jermaine with them shorts?
More than once.
I know I ain't supposed to wear this.
Double time.
More than once.
See, I've been trying to give Debo a pass.
I probably shouldn't wear these, but I'm gonna go for it anyway.
I've been trying to give you a pass, but somebody probably should have told you at Keon's funeral not to wear that suit that you wore. Because that suit,
Carvey told him.
Carvey told him afterwards,
After
but
the
that
fact.
suit was screaming, "Hey there, lonely girl!" It was singing loud. Doc, that suit was Jesus.
While Keith was trying to speak,
Yeah, the while Keith was trying to speak, your suit was like, "Hey, the blues is all right."
you know you're wrong.
You started it. Oh man. Hey, the blues is all right.
Really?
Yeah, man. Man, that's what I heard when you walked past and sat down. I didn't know if it was the FM station or the AM station because it was kind of muffled. So it sounded like it was AM.
Wow. Keith, you're not gonna help your brother out?
No, it's over.
Because I done busted out in some pink. So there's a picture of me playing ball at Cass Street, and I don't know how I'm out there playing in a pink polo shirt.
Oh, shirts and blouses like Prince.
with the pastors.
Oh yeah,
Shirts and collars.
Shirts and collars.
Oh
man.
All right, now we got the call.
Yeah, we got a break anyway coming up.
Okay. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Listen up good now.
You're inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back. I don't know if I should get an Apple Watch. I see all these people with Apple Watches.
Yeah, man. I've been meaning to pick mine up, and they've been holding mine for.
You got a watch? You got
I
Apple?
was supposed to go get it. Yeah, it went to my phone. Still where?
In the property room.
Yeah.
He's scared. He's scared to go down there and get his property. He may get. Hey, he
a
may
lot of
be.
people scared to go to the courthouse right now,
He
man.
may be
'cause,
deported.
Speaking of that, man, a lot of people is scared to go to this new festival that's going on.
What's that?
The tacos.
Yo, VIP. Let's kick.
Cinco de Mayo.
Oh yeah. We were talking about that.
Yeah, but let's talk about that real quick. Cinco de Mayo. A lot of people think that it is Mexican Independence Day. It's really not. That's, I think, in September, October. It is the Battle of Pueblo, where I think they kicked the French out of Mexico. So that's why they do Cinco de Mayo. But they had it at Humboldt Park yesterday.
So, question. I mean, not to change the narrative.
So they didn't have it on the south side?
Yeah,
it was on South Side. Yeah. So,
it was in Oklahoma,
I
right?
think it was Oklahoma, but they had fights out there. They was out there fighting
Dude,
like crazy.
I'm telling you, man,
that was crazy.
It
man.
is. It's. Remember we was talking about? Was it
like us,
T-Pain?
yeah.
I'm just telling you, it's a free festival. Yeah. That means it brings in all those things that go.
And it was all girls fighting. It was all girls fighting.
That's the other thing too.
Almost as if they get on Facebook and say, "Hey, this is where we gonna meet."
I remember back in the day they showed this. It was on the news. I don't know if it was on the news. Maybe it was on Facebook. But right there, right across the street from the McDonald's on 27th. I don't know if it's on that other corner on that southeast corner. No, where the gas station.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And so it was the sister and this white girl. The white girl lit that sister up. I mean, she lit her up. Oh, man. So there's a myth out there.
Yeah.
that white people can't fight. You do that at your own peril. So actually, dudes in the military, when they go and they meet these dudes from hillbillies.
Oh, yeah.
That never referred to black people as anything other than nigga.
Yeah.
And they came up poor and hungry.
Yeah.
Oh, they throwing like you throwing.
Yeah.
Farm
boys. We call them farm boys.
That was the big difference, why you don't see a lot of American fighters, because American fighters are not hungry. Look at where those fighters are coming from. They come from the poorest parts of the world.
Yeah.
Because fighting is one of those things, boxing is one of those things that get you up and you'll come up. Yeah. But there was a time.
Yeah.
There was a time. Carla, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Yes, sir, Mr. Parris. If it would be okay, this is what I would like to say. It's to the contrary. But it's nothing vulgar. When you all mentioned our beloved brother, Malcolm X. Malcolm X also said that only a hit dog hollers or something like that. And before Malcolm X was murdered by the United States government, he was making his way back to the Nation of Islam. And just because when Malcolm made Hajj in Mecca and he drank from a cup with a Caucasian man, that did not mean that the Caucasian had changed. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that a man who will not teach you right will not treat you right. Our history is irrevocable. And the present Pharaoh is, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, he would do. And even Tupac Shakur in 1996 referenced this person. And here we are.
But I guess, Christopher, I'm trying to... Okay, man. I hear you. Okay.
No, sir. What is the question? If you would like to ask me,
I think that.
Therefore, you are. You think
the ideals that religions foster
Well, here's the thing
Well,
about religion.
Let me finish. You told me to finish,
Yes,
so let
sir.
me finish. So
My
the
bad.
ideals that they foster a lot of times is that we do not live up to it because, again, we bring our biases, our lived experiences into how we will see that religion and how we apply that religion to our lives. And so it is left up to interpretation a lot of times in terms of, or what people are going to apply, what they're going to emphasize on in terms of the religion. All I'm saying is that as human beings, we bring our stuff to the table. And a lot of times it's our stuff that gets in the way of us doing what we have to do. Everybody, look, I'm a Baptist. Every Baptist minister wasn't down with Dr. King in the civil rights movement, i.e. Adam Clayton Powell. It came down to they both wanted the same thing, but the question was who was going to get the shine.
Why weren't they with him? And you must also understand.
I know why, because there were some people, look, I can tell you the dynamic tension that they had was Dr. King represented.
Was rocking the boat.
No, beyond that. And you talk about why he had problems with other Black Baptist ministers. I'm going to tell you why. Because he was a PhD. Right? He was highly educated.
Lettered.
And so there's a tension between the highly educated clergy and those who are not formally educated. There's always been that tension that they have.
And
so,
that is, and what is the because of that? What the effect of that? What is the because of that? What has been the effect of that? What is the scientific understanding behind that? There's a scientific methodology psychologically that has been utilized and it has been applied to us that was established by a man named Willie Lynch.
I hear that in terms of Willie Lynch, but I think it's more basic than that, though. Because a lot of times you didn't really have to do, in terms of human beings and human interaction, there has been, hold on, Christopher. When you look at human beings and human interaction, you can go back through time and you will find any recorded history, you will find conflict between human beings. Regardless of what they look like, there was conflict.
Hue means hue, like melanated.
Okay, but you okay, man, I heard all of that. If you want to get into that, don't be what you hate.
I am never that.
Don't be what you hate. Don't be where you're going to sit up and say that European people, because of melanin, somehow they're the worst people on the planet. If that's how you feel,
I don't have to. I don't deal with feelings. We utilize reason. You have to rise above emotion. I'm a scientist, Mr. Parris, and I look at things from a scientific perspective. There's always a scientific methodology when I am dealing with things. And as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated, that the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad are scientific, and they cover all aspects of science. And Mr. Parris, I would like to say this with regard to you talking about, I think you just said something about Caucasian people, right?
Well, I don't even use that term anymore because it was outdated before it started. That was poor sociology. Because those people, when you talk about Caucasian, there's the Caucasus Mountains.
Negroid.
No, but those things have been sociologically, they don't even use those terms anymore.
Well, these are technical terms, but they have already been established, and that is
imprecise. They're imprecise. They're not scientific.
No, they are accurate, or they are precise. And accuracy and precision are different things, because precision is right on the mark, while accuracy.
Then you haven't accounted for the indigenous people in the Americas. You haven't accounted for them. They weren't even included. This was poor sociology used to justify eugenics, right? Where you go in and you start talking about
people. Okay. And the reason, if you think that we think that because what you judge a man by his works, and that's how you can tell a man by his works. What are the works of the people who have been on the planet? What have you done? Have you been a subordinate, or have you been an executive. And if you have been an executive, Mr. Parris, and in what capacity have you executed your executive abilities?
I
Or,
appreciate
how have you worked in that capacity, Mr. Parris? And the only man that has done absolute and total evil to the entirety of the family on the planet Earth is the Caucasian grafted white man.
All right,
Yakub's
I appreciate
grafted devil.
All right, appreciate you. You anyway, I won't get into to say that Europeans have not had enormous impact negatively on the planet that is true. But who is it? And then when you find out, so I think there are a lot of times, because of our subjugated positions, what we do then, some of us, is then we go to the other extreme where, oh, we're the chosen one. Okay, really? All right. I don't know if God has favorites. Now that for some folks, they want to believe that you have. But look, I'm not arguing that white supremacy is not real. I'm not arguing that at all. It is very real. I mean, it's driven a whole lot in terms of how we look at the world. But when you looked at those Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid, that never accounted for people in the North Americas, right? Those indigenous people that were there. So sociologists came out with a means to then, and guess who would be the superior ones? I think it would be the Caucasoids. And what do they look like? So white supremacy is real. I am not acting as if it doesn't exist, because it does. The fact that we even used the term black and white had everything to do with us creating. There's some great books out there, branded from the start, where we begin to talk about the roots, the history of white people, where you go in and you begin to understand that race is a construct, but racism is real. That's Hassan Jeffries, Dr. Hassan Jeffries there at Ohio State University. So it's real talk. A lot of people, we have been so programmed to look at the world through the lens of, and I put in quotations, race, but then race has had impact on our lived experience. So how could it is difficult not to. It's difficult not to. Caller, welcome to the program.
How you doing, Doctor?
Good, sir. How are you?
I have to have some pushback on your last conversation.
Okay.
Circular arguments go nowhere. Somebody should have been cut off a lot sooner than they were. Before that, your dissertation was quite professorial, and you have a good one, Doctor, and tell Doctor right out of whatever his name is. Have a good day, too.
Yes, sir, Dr. Ward. Dr. Rideout, God bless you.
Bless you. Bless you. I was watching this woman, and she said she's giving honor. You know, we have to go through protocol. She's giving honor. So she said, giving honor to God. And then she said, giving honor to the pulpit.
Oh, boy.
And then she said, and giving honor to everybody's in the pulpit.
So you're going to give honor to the structure and then the people.
The people in the pulpit. Caller, welcome to the program.
Morning, Keith. How you doing?
Hey, John.
Oh, man. You heard the term methodological individualism as opposed to methodological collectivism for a social science analysis system. Methodological collectivism versus methodological individualism. Just for analysis of different individuals as groups. Anyways, okay, so if you believe in science, as Christopher said, there's a social science principle of how do you analyze something? Well, you have to see individuals, and each individual can be more or less pro-social, more or less antisocial. You said, or one of you guys said, measure a person by their works. And I think that was him, actually, wasn't it? Okay, so there is a general category of Caucasian, but that doesn't mean you have to hate somebody. So if I'm Caucasian, that can include everything from East Indian to the British Isles, from Bengal to British Isles. There's dark and light, but it's only like your hip is different from your leg. That doesn't mean your hip is better than your leg, the upper leg to the lower leg. That doesn't mean it's better. So some crazy guy with, like you said, it's called pseudo-anthropology. That doesn't mean we're all supposed to be trapped. Like Hitler drank a cup of water doesn't make us all foolish for drinking a cup of water. It's because the guy made something, what he thought was science, that pseudo-anthropology, that caused a lot of death and it caused a lot of rationalization of racism. But that doesn't mean there's not a general branch. Plus, with genetics, it's like a family tree. There's different parts of a family tree. The Caucasus is a wheel that goes all the way around North Africa, and it comes right back. It's distinct, but it's not an absolute wall. I was watching a movie about Mauritania, filmed by a Jamaican guy. He was saying, here we are going to the white side of town. These people were all kind of colors. They were all colors, and they call themselves white.
They were probably grouped. They probably grouped on how they looked.
Yes, and it was very light-skinned black. It was essentially light-skinned blacks mixed with dark Arabs, mixed with all kinds of Arabs. But they call themselves white because it's in their culture. White Moors versus black Moors, and it's just their culture. So it's distinct from ours. You know, we that whole white drop, what's that thing about a drop of black blood versus, you know. So there's the opposite. A drop of Arab blood, no matter how dark you are, makes you a white person. But it's not, like you said, it's a construct of the local culture or this pseudoscience. But it doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but we're still one human race. There's no separate white race. There's no separate Caucasian race. And like you said, that when we were kids, there was three races. That, like, we grew up and said, well, how did the Indians fit into this three-sectional thing? But we're a branch. We're all branches of one tree. And my great-grandfather, going back thousands of years, is your great-grandfather. And Christopher.
But you know what? Why can't we just accept that we lived in different parts of the world? How we looked was dictated by where we live. Our diets, all those things were based on the environment that we found ourselves in. It's when man began to look. Now, here's the one thing that Europeans were able to do was they created navies. In fact, that they created navies meant that now they could really dominate the world. So, hey, man, I got to go.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, let me thank Mr. Byron Stripling. Again, let's groove tonight. Motown and the Philly sound. Motown, Philly, back again. That will be Friday, May 23rd at 7:30, Saturday, May 24th at 7:30, and Sunday, May 25th at 2:30 at the Allen Bradley Hall. That's part of the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra building there right on the corner of 2nd and Wisconsin. Debo, thank you.
Wait, before you check out, I just want to ask you one quick question. You know how people say that it's all of these races, you got the white race, the black race, whatever. But in reality, isn't it really just one race and it's the human race?
Yeah. But when you're able to go in and divide and you do it based on appearance, and then who is the dominant group is based on appearance, that is the impact of, and I put in quotation marks, racism.
Okay.
Right? I mean, there always been a dominant people. There's always been a dominant people. I don't care where you are. That's why you have wars. It's always been dominant people. They will spread their religion. They will spread their culture. That's what happens when you go in and you take over people. You take over the land. There are things that you need to do to control that land. How do you first then be able to identify who the enemy is, right? And so what do we use? What we see. All right. So again, let me thank Byron Stripling. Man, I'm looking forward to this show. Jermaine, thank you, man. Again, thank you, Debo. Callers, we thank you. Good Lord willing, creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this present.